Greetings and salutations one and all. Welcome to the night shift. It's a brand spanking new week right here on Community and kicking off with Community and Finance on the night shift with DJ Kevin. Stu, how you doing? For some, it's the very last week of school. I can just imagine how happy they are.
LFS music, yeah, lyrical, oh yeah, this is our blessing, yeah, this is our blessing, it's our blessing, this is our blessing, look how far we come, yeah, heart is beating like a kettle drum, yeah, foot them hurting but we marching on, yeah, so God convince me to carry on, and on and on, yeah. The road, nowhere to find we problems behind we. Once we on the road, you know how to ride we. The jam on nobody, because rain or sun, we fetting that. Oil and money, we fetting that. Money done, we fetting that. And nothing to hold me back. Rain or sun, we fetting that. Oil and money, we fetting that. Once this session is getting hard.
Kicking off tonight with LFS music, working out with lyrical. The track is called "Is a Blessing."
Celebrate with each other is a blessing, a blessing that I'm telling you. So as we move along, my cup is always full of rum, yeah, and I always have a gal around, yeah. So my party mode is always on, and on and on and on. We on the road, nowhere to find we problems behind we. Once we on the road, you know how to ride we. The jam on nobody, because rain or sun, we fetting that. Oil and money, we fetting that. Money done, we fetting that. And nothing to hold me back. Rain or sun, we fetting that. Oil and money, we fetting that. Once this session is getting hard, because it's a blessing that. Take a drink with my partner, it's a blessing that. Pass with the foreign colors, it's a blessing that. Celebrate with each other, it's a blessing that. I'm telling you, we on the road, nowhere to find we problems behind we. Once we on the road, you know how to ride we. The jam on nobody. This is our blessing.
The track is called "Is a Blessing."
Masters our blessing.
LFS music, working out with lyrical.
Blessing, yeah. This is our blessing. Bacadal is our blessing.
I want to take an opportunity right now to welcome each and every one of you to the broadcast.
LFS, lyrical. Oh yeah. Oh, blessing now. We not stressing now.
This little thing here is so unruly. You know, sometimes technology does decide that it's going to do its own thing.
Blessing that. Pass with the foreign colors is a blessing that. Celebrate with each other.
Okay, watch me.
A blessing that. I'm telling you, we on the road, nowhere to find we problems behind we. Once we on the road, you know how to ride we. The jam on nobody. This is our blessing.
Alright, the track is called "Is a Blessing." I told you that already, right? Give me a minute. Let me tell you some more things.
This is a blessing that. Celebrate with each other is a blessing that. I'm telling you, we on the road, nowhere to find we problems behind we. Once we on the road, you know how to ride we. The jam on nobody. This is our blessing. Carnival is our blessing. Masters our blessing. Soca is our blessing. Yeah, this is
Want to say thank you to all my affiliates from all over the globe. Top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK, One Harmony Radio. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in New York, on Island Worldwide. I almost got the two stations mixed up. Island Worldwide out of New York. Exhibiting the power of music. I want to say big ups once again to Island Worldwide. I do apologize over there in New York to you guys. Enough love, enough love, enough love. Big ups to those in New York, in New Jersey. NIE Radio. I want to say big ups to those out of Texas on WGLRO. Home of the Donnie Walker Morning Show. Taking you from the sheets to the streets. Touching from Detroit to Denmark and all points in between. Oh, this is strange.
Soca is our blessing. Yeah, this is our blessing. Bacchanal is our blessing. It's our blessing.
Okay, so I'm looking for my Facebook live stream, and I'm not seeing it for some reason. For those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, are you seeing my video? Because I'm not seeing it. Big ups Donovan. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com.
Carnival is our blessing. Masters our blessing. Soca is our blessing. Yeah, this is our blessing. Bacchanal is our blessing. It's our blessing. Woman is our blessing.
I think I got everybody. NIE Radio, Island Worldwide, One Harmony Radio, WGLRO, the Foundation Radio Network. That's ClintonLindsay.com. Oh, there I am. I see me now. Thank you, Donovan. Much love. Inviting you all to call a friend, tell a friend, call your enemy, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends. Call everybody. Tell them the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on. Community and Finance Night. Welcome to those on Facebook Live. Remember, it's only temporary. It's a segment simulcast here. Don't get too comfortable. Use the link that's in the description, kevinstew.com. Come on over. Jump into the stew pot. It's what others call a chat room, but because we're fancy over here, we call it a stew pot. Don't get too comfortable. Use the link that's in the description, kevinstew.com.
Oh,
Come on over. Jump into the
I'm
stew
hearing
pot.
you
feeding
It's
back
what
to
others
me.
call a chat room, but because we're
Don't worry, I fixed it. You're hearing me now, right?
Come on over. I'm hearing you.
I fixed it, don't worry. I got it. It's all these moving parts, you know, when you have you need 8 hands to take care of
That's
everything
why I don't
sometimes.
do live shows. That's why I don't do them. Right there.
Listen, I will not stop doing live broadcasts, no matter
God bless
what.
you.
Because I keep it as real as it comes.
I'm too scared. I can't do it all.
Nothing to be afraid of at all. At all. Because you know what? In real life, things happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I for those of you just joining in, welcome to the Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Those on TuneIn Radio, big ups to you. And of course, those at the home of the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. I welcome you. Tonight, we have. Why, I came across this lady by accident, but nothing really happens by accident. So, this was destined to happen, and it was destined to happen at this point in time. And without further ado, I want to present to you the woman of the moment. From this point on, it's really her broadcast. I'm facilitating it. I didn't give her that memo. Just like everybody else, they fall right into that trap. And and so I present to you Cheryl Shy Hillman.
What an illustrious intro. Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you, Shy?
I am fantastic. I am so grateful. Thank you for this opportunity to share my story and a little bit about my passion. Thank you.
Well, this is quite a passionate broadcast. It's this whole broadcast is a passion of mine. So I am so thrilled that I can share my passion with you to share your passion. And in doing so, the goal here is to raise some awareness. And my motto is have acceptance through enlightenment. And there are a lot of people out there that hold an opinion on something, and it's just because they really don't know. So when we get an opportunity to learn, we get an opportunity to grow. Before I get into it real deep, though, let me say thank you to my segment sponsors, which I should have done while I was playing that music and we're bouncing around and enjoying it. I was enjoying it a little bit too much. I want to say thank you to Pulse Media Group. When being in a moment is priceless, they provide innovative streaming and recording solutions. You have a church service, a funeral, a wedding, a seminar, an event like this, just a broadcast, a party, anything that you want to stream on a secure platform of your own. You can give them a call, 754-999-6020, and tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you. I want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade, and South Palm Beach counties. She comes to you with her table, her oils, and of course her Healing Heavenly Hands with over 20 years of experience. And outside of paying her, she only has one request. You get off her table when she's done and go sleep somewhere else. And you can reach her. No, serious thing. Really. It happens to me every time, Shy. You can reach her at 954-655-9000. That's 954-655-9000. Or email her at thealater@att.net. And one bonus thing for you from her, she's also a certified personal trainer. So she can put your muscles in pain and she can soothe them too. So call her up. Tell her you heard about her on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. I want to say thank you also to Reggae Global Entertainment. And Reggae Global, I'll have an ad for them I can run a little bit later. But they provide bookings, tour management, trademarks, business registration, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more. You can give them a call, 954-804-8199. That's 954-804-8199. Or link them up on reggaeglobalentertainment.com. And of course, last but by no means least, GMAT Music Solutions, bringing your event to life, providing sound, light, and stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers, and more. Give them a call, 754-307-GMAC. That's 754-307-4622. Or check them out online, gmacmusicsolutions.com. Now that takes care of the formalities. And so, Shy, from this point on, it is yours, all yours. So, who is Cheryl Hillman?
Woo, boy, you ran out of the gate with that one, huh? Well, my name is Cheryl Hillman. I was born Shy Lynn, hence the nickname Shy. So,
Okay.
no, I am not shy, not a bit. I
Excellent.
was raised by a Pentecostal pastor and his wife. I was adopted into their family. And so, no, not shy, bone in my body. So, my journey actually started as a teen mother. I got pregnant and I got married at
Mm-hmm.
the age of 16. That's what preachers' daughters do. That's what we were supposed to do. And that's what I did. And I had two beautiful children, a boy and a girl who are now 34 and 32. Or gosh, are they 35 and 33? Something like that. They're older. Anyway, right? That's
We
terrible.
couldn't tell by looking
So,
anyway.
thank you. So I have these two gorgeous children, and in a really horrible divorce. We were married too young. That's
Sorry.
what happens a lot. When you're married that young, and basically we grew apart.
Okay.
He wanted to go on a path in life, and I wanted to go on another, and that didn't quite happen. Um, so the divorce got quite messy,
Mm-hmm.
and in the interim of it, I had to leave, and the financial money he had. So
Gotcha.
the best place for my children was in the home that they were raised in, and unfortunately, he was the one that was staying in that home. So we
Mm.
were going back and forth in the divorce, and some things happened, and they were taken. And it took me a while to come to gra- grip with that. And they were moved out of the state, and I couldn't find them because my family at that moment had disowned me because I got divorced because that went against the preaching in our
Okay.
religion. Yes. So here I
You
am,
said
this
your
girl
family
who
had to
just
sell you?
no disowned
Oh,
me.
disown you.
Disowned
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, what about sell me? They couldn't have. I don't know who would have bought me.
Does that come with a return
But
policy?
right, right, and it better be like tomorrow return. Um, so my journey continued, and I realized at that moment, I had started to integrate into the secular world, which I had never been a part of my entire life. Because of the church. Church was my life. That's what I grew up in. That's what we did for fun. That's what we did for socializing.
Right.
Um, so here I am, and I'm in this situation, and uh, alcohol's presented to me.
Mm.
And alcohol became a wonderful thing to be able to put me to sleep at night.
Gotcha.
And I wouldn't have nightmares. I wouldn't have horrible, dreams and things like that, or
Mm-hmm.
cry before I went to sleep because I'd pass out.
Right.
And I kind of figured that out quickly, that this was a tool I could use. Now, not knowing that I had an addicted natural birth mother.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and apparently my father also, my natural father, whom I later found out later in years. So I already had these traits for addiction that I did not even know about.
Mm.
So of course that led to the nightlife, and that led to the drinking, and that led to the other things that come in, with that partying and stuff. So we fast forward. I'm still working, thriving. I get my real estate license in Florida. A couple years later, I end up moving to New York to relocate, have some wonderful corporate jobs there, Mattel, Toy Max International, worked for a multimedia advertising agency while I was there. And my addiction was getting worse. I was making more money. You know how that goes. The
Mm-hmm.
more you have, the more you spend.
Right.
So that became a horrendous trap. Although I thought I was doing well, I wasn't. The partying was getting more. So at that point, my son actually comes back into my life. He reaches out, and I guess he'd had enough too, and he finally gets my phone number from a family member. So my son moves in with me up to New York. My daughter stays with her daddy. She's a daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, And my son, unfortunately, he doesn't really understand because, again, he was raised in the church also because my ex became a pastor just also.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, God. So he was raised in this lifestyle, also of never being involved in the secular world. So here I am, all in it, standing in the deep. And this child, his teenager, is involved in my life, coming back in my life, who I need to be a mother to, and I haven't been there for so long. So we go through some problems. I go through my addiction. It's getting worse. We relocate to Florida. About that point, I'm in my 30s, mid 30s, and I get arrested for the very first time. It's due to the lifestyle. It's due to the addiction. It was fraudulent uses, grand thefts, things like of that nature.
Got you.
But I had kept getting rearrested after that on technical violations. I couldn't stay clean. I was dropping dirty urines all the time,
Right. When they did their tests,
yeah, for whatever drug of the moment was my addiction. So with all of that being said, and Christopher, my son at the time, now he's, with my mom and dad here because I have family here and things like that. So he's with them. But I'm going through all of this. I get sent to rehab in Miami at a place called Spectrum. It's in Little Haiti.
Okay.
It was a 6-month program, DOC mandated, blew through it with flying colors. But that was an easy thing to do when the program wasn't worth any salt. They weren't looking at the issues of why were the arrests happening, what was the drug use coming from. They weren't digging deep. I literally skated through it. I broke barriers. I was the first woman on the peer council. And about within 4 months after being released, I was back in my addiction.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Well, meanwhile, while at Spectrum, I meet my second husband. Yes, we met in rehab. Yes. And it happens. They always tell you shouldn't do it, and you shouldn't, because you should be concentrating on yourself.
Right.
Wonderful man, though, when he is clean, brilliant, articulate, just dynamic, just incredible. So we had started our journey together. We moved out, we got a place, and of course our addiction started. I didn't know he was in a different addiction than I was, though.
Okay.
I was in something and he was in something deeper. His addiction was heroin. Mine at the time I'd gone from drinking to the crack to just freebase to all the painkillers, any kind of sedative.
Right.
I did it all. I was cross addicted.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So here we are in Miami now. We break up for a little bit, but we get back together. Now, he unfortunately, and God bless his heart, hates himself to this day for it, but he was the one that introduced me to my first needle and heroin. And that became the love of my life. There was nothing could come before it, actually, because if I didn't have it, I was sick.
Right.
So it became everything. And any addict knows that. That's what this is.
Yes.
So we're going to go past that anyway.
Yeah.
I get locked up. I get locked up for a stop and knock. If anybody doesn't know what that is, if you're on probation and you're in a certain county like Dade County or Broward County, they can do a lotto. They'll pull your name. If you're on probation, they can come by your door and stop and knock and make sure that you're there. Now, that's if you have a curfew.
Okay.
A lot like drug offender curfew, offender stuff.
Got you. Okay.
Well, they did. They came by, but I was in the back bedroom with the air on. I just sent my husband out to work, and I was literally there. And because I didn't answer the door, they violated me. Even my probation officer at the time was like, oh my gosh, she's doing the right thing. Let her be. She was going to testify. They wouldn't let her. They sent me to prison. So I went to prison for my very first time in 2009. I was at Homestead. I went to BCI and then I went to Homestead. So I am a 2-time offender, actually. And a lot of people do not even know that. This is the 3rd time I'm sharing my story.
Oh, thank
So
you.
that is actually new information. I am a 2-time offender. I have an A on my tag. So 45 minutes. I only stay 4 months, by the way, not even. It was just they wanted me to have a number. I needed to be punished. They needed me in the system with a number, and that's what it was. So it's called a turnaround. So I came back home, and 45 minutes after I did, I OD'd on my couch.
Oh, wow.
I thought I could come right out and use the same amount of drugs that I had used prior to going inside. And yeah, fortunately, my husband at the time was able to revive me. I didn't need an ambulance, nothing like that. And the sick thing, and when I do tell this story, and I don't know if this is too much for your show, but
no, it
the
isn't
horrible
actually.
the horrible thing about being an addict, when I came out of that, knowing that something traumatic had happened, because I'm soaking wet, because he threw me in the tub.
Mm.
And I knew something had happened because he had this horrible look on his face. And I was like, well, what's up? And he's like, you just died. You were dead. I'm freaking out. And I'm like, can I please have a shot? I'm freaking out. You're freaking me out. Just give me. That's the first thing I asked for when I came out. So, and that just is a little insight to the mind of an addict and what happens in our thought process.
Mm-hmm.
A few months go by, and things just progress tremendously downward. We were so behind on our rent. I didn't know that he wasn't paying rent. There were checks being put into the bank that weren't right. Like the ones that you can put in and then get the money back first when they first started, all that junk.
Right.
Okay. So all of this is going on. We decided that we're going to go into detox. So we go into the place in Miami, the giant hospital there,
Jackson
Jacksonville,
Memorial.
Miami. Not Jacksonville. It's the one in Miami, though.
Yeah.
But they have a detox place there. So we signed up for it and went in. But we didn't last because he particularly can't take the medicines. They don't work for him so well. He has a bad detox. And I got freaked out when he said he was walking out, and I didn't want to be left there myself, so I left. 3 months go by, or not even, I think a month go by, and we end up back home in the Keys. That's where he's from, and his family is there, so we go there for support. Meanwhile, we're still in our addiction, and we're bad. Fast forward a little bit more, we separate. I go on about my way. He goes on about his way because I've had enough. I don't want to use anymore, especially IV. I can't do it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a job down there, and some things fall apart there. It doesn't quite work out. The people were a little shady I was working for, and I didn't know anybody, and I called my husband at the time. Of course, He was right there. He came and he helped me, got my stuff, went to the place he was staying. I did not know that he was already in the process of some crimes.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm there. Yeah. So I'm there, and one night he comes in and he's like, "You're coming with me." And I'm like, "Going where?" And he's like, "Well, you're coming with me. I've got a credit card and I need to use it." And basically at that moment, I already knew what time it was. I'm not a duck. I knew what was happening. I saw the pain in his eyes of needing to get his drug.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him and I said, if I do this, I'm going back to prison. And he said, "Nothing's going to happen. I got you." And there were some words back and forth, and I ended up going. And I committed some crimes with him, like I said, there were some that he had committed prior to me, and I had no knowledge of them.
Right.
They were for robberies, burglary of a conveyance, because I actually snatched a purse out of a motor scooter down in the Keys.
Oh,
But there
wow.
were multiple robbery cases against us. There were no drug charges. Can you believe that? The one time I really get amped up and there's no drug charges. Now, it all stemmed from drugs, though.
Right,
And
right.
that was the reason that all the crimes happened. Um, we went through a lengthy sit in the county. I actually sat there almost 3 years to the day in one pod in Key West for almost 3 years. Finally, I was sent to prison. I got an 8.5-year sentence. They had started me at what I could have gotten was 98 years. They came at me with 25, and I told them that I didn't know how that was going to happen. And they finally came back at me. Basically, they were going to push it to a 15 if I didn't take a plea deal.
Oh, wow.
So even though I told them I didn't know any information except what I gave them, and I gave them everything, because literally when they put the cuffs on me, I was so tired and I was so done. I told him every single dirty detail that I did. I said, please. I was tired. I was done. And I swear there was one point when I looked at that lady and I said, my mama prayed me here. You know, and that's the facts of it. But I was tired. So I go to prison. I finish my time out there, and I'm one of those inmates who knows I have an out date, so I get a great job because that's key.
Right.
And I do maintenance work there. Learn incredible skills. They were incredible civilians I worked with. That they just taught us girls out there all kinds of things. Woodworking, all the giant chop saws, the drills, how to measure, how to build, how to do the cherry lifters. I learned electric work. So, I did do some things that were productive there. But the main thing that happened to me there was my mind change. And that happened at a place called Bradenton Bridges. And that is a place that was defunded by Governor Scott, unfortunately. And it taught cognitive therapy and behavior. And it changed the person that I am, because I was able to change the thoughts I had from the past traumas that I had experienced that I knew
Excellent.
nothing about.
Yes.
I knew nothing about this. I just thought it was who I was, but it wasn't. I was carrying so many traumas from so many people, from their traumas, and they were learned behaviors.
Yeah.
They become integrated learned behaviors into my daily life that I had no idea that I could stop them. And it was mind-blowing when you get that kind of power.
Yeah.
Whoop. Talk about a little bit of power now. That's like a church sermon right there. You talk about being able to change it. And that's another thing that changed. It was my spiritual walk. A lot of people, you call it whatever you want to call it. I choose to call it God.
Yeah. Understandable.
But I'm more spiritual. I don't believe in uniform anything like that. Because that's a trauma that I'm still dealing with.
Right.
But my spirituality
Versus religion.
Man, that's right.
Gotcha.
I give it all to him every day. Every day. I can't deal with some of the worry that I have put in front of me. So anyway, Bradenton changed my life. So I get sent back from Bradenton because they get defunded. A bunch of us did. We were the last graduating class of the females. So we were really blessed because that put us on the forefront to go to work release. We bumped every single person for work release and were able to go first. So once we got back, they sent us back to real prison. We had to go back in prison clothes. And that was shocking and scary because we'd already been in civilian clothes at this place. We had money. We could call our families on the payphone. It was a step into society.
Only to
We
go
go back
backwards.
to prison. Oh, Oh,
Jeez.
it's- yeah. Tell me about it. So, of course, they put me in. I think it was just God's last little test for me because, of course, they put me in the worst compound, the hottest one, no AC, in the dog dorm of all things. So I'm in the spitting hot, no breathing air with dogs in kennels, and the
Wait.
smell of.
Hold up. You
Oh
said
yeah,
you,
you got it.
you as in canines, the four-legged
As in the
furry
canine
animals.
dog dorm. They don't put them in a separate dorm. No, no, they house them in with their trainers. Okay, so every morning the fresh aroma of cleaning vinegar got to take a deep breath of it in the morning because they had to clean the kennel cages. So anyway, that was my last test. So 4 months, I get sent to work release in Orlando. Um, it was an amazing experience for me. I was blessed to have it. So many girls and so many men do not. And I don't know how reentry is even possible when you don't. I don't know how people get on their feet without it. Because some of the girls that are there aren't even making enough because they're still paying the 75% back to DOC to even put down on an apartment. But you're telling me people that are walking out of prison only get a $50 whatever they hand them now, a debit card. How's that going to get somebody on their feet? So anyway, let me go
Wait,
back.
that
So here,
wait,
yeah, go ahead.
because there's a lot that you're gonna be teaching us
Oh, I have
tonight.
so much.
It's a good thing we have all this time because you are going to be taking us to school tonight. For you guys that are locked in on Facebook Live, use a link that's in the description. I'm going to pin it also in the comments for you. Those of you who can't find it, it's kevinstew.com. Those of you that are listening, kevinstew.com. If you're not listening on kevinstew.com, that's fine. One of the affiliates, big ups to you. Island Worldwide, NIE Radio, One Harmony Radio, WGLRO, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Any of those affiliates, you'll still hear us. If you want to participate, though, you want to actively participate in our discussion and in this class that Shai is taking us through, you can go ahead and go to kevinstew.com and jump into the stew pot where you can interact with us directly. And also, if you want to call, I'm going to put the number up. You can call, you can text, you can WhatsApp, Telegram. Kevin, it's 773-789-STEW. 773-789-7839. One more time. 773-789-7839. You can actually talk with us. You can talk with Shai directly if you call in. If you want to just say thank you for these words because I was wondering how I would make it, and hearing you tell your story, I know that I can make it. Whatever it is that you want to say, you can go ahead and do that. All right? Just call in and do that. 773-789-STEW. Those of you who are watching, the number is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. All right. So Facebook Live, deuces to you. Thank you guys for sharing, and come on over. Let's get this thing continued because school is in session. Okay. So, Professor Cheryl Shai Hillman, you were put in the dog dorm is one thing that you're going to have to walk us through. Another thing
Oh,
is you said when you're released, you get a $50 debit card.
now it could be up to. I think it used to be 100, but I think it's only 50 now. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on the amount, but it's no more than 100, and that is only given to people who are indigent or who did not have money in their canteen for the last so many months. They will give that person a I think it's like a little card they can use when they take them to like the bus station or wherever.
So that is all that you restart your life with?
Oh yes, in fact, having a wonderful conversation today with somebody about the reentry issues with people that leave with no ID. Um, what are you going to do when you walk out of prison with no ID after you've been there for 20 years? What are you thinking? Now, I will say this, and this was somebody in a different state. In Florida, they do have something called the ID van that will come, and it's not very often. It's only every few months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And they will fill it up with people that need their ID, or say you need to go in and find out what you need for your ID. But here's the problem. What you need for your ID, they should help you get before you walk up out of there. But if you don't have $25, for instance, for me, it would have been $25 for the state of Missouri to send me my birth certificate, Federal Express, and paid for it. Okay. Well, first, they don't take Federal Express, and I'd be scared that it would get lost in the mail. They don't accept that at the compound. But second of all, if I didn't have the $25, they would never do it anyway. So, and that puts an indigent person in a really tight spot, and it's not right. There's a lot of issues that I fight for that have to do with reentry. It's a big part of my passion.
Okay, so before you continue your story, let me ask this. So, I guess the argument, let me ask or make this statement, however it comes out. The argument could be that had you not done a crime in the first place, then you would have had everything that you need to do whatever you want. So the message there would be, don't commit crimes. Don't get incarcerated for whatever reason. And if you do, you need to make sure that you have something waiting. You have legit money that you have put down waiting for you to when you come back. But if you do have legit money, does that end up get taken from you while you're in?
It depends on what your crime was.
Oh,
There are crimes that legit money might not be considered legit by them, but that would usually be in more of a federal, like a white collar crime.
okay.
Something like that. In those lines, yes.
Okay. All right. So
Now,
there's a whole lot more to learn in this.
I will say this. With that great, might I ask, comeback, because that is a lot of people's positions, and they have the right for that opinion. But I would pose this to them, and this comes from a lot of why I joined the organization, besides Pure Prison and my podcast, what I do, and why I have affiliated and have joined Society First, is this is a social issue. And I'll tell you why it boils down to being a social issue and a society issue. Because these people that are being released, they may move in next to you. Now, this not only for the driver's license, but for anything that I speak about. Given tools to use upon release, knowledge, substance abuse, trauma, healing, restorative justice, being able to accept accountability, being able to apologize to your victim, being able to restore that and heal that ripple effect that you have done with any of these things. Would you not rather an inmate or the person who committed that crime that's coming out of prison be given those tools, that simple driver's license that's going to keep them from doing some dumb crime that's going to send them right back in? Recidivism rates. Everybody's talking about recidivism rates and how much it's costing the taxpayers. These are simple solutions that we can start to implement in our prisons and in our jails. Sometimes it just boils down to these simple, stupid solutions, and that's all that person needed. But because nobody would help, nobody would listen, they had nowhere to go, nowhere in their community, nobody they could find to help them. And
So
just
you're
go ahead.
saying that it could be as simple a fix as something like a student loan, something done in that kind of a format, where
As far as giving, or as
yes,
far as
as to the individual reintegrating to free society, quote unquote free.
let's okay, let's talk. Let's, for instance, I had something come up this morning. One of the main things that a person has problems with is opening up a bank account.
Right.
You need ID. You
Hmm.
need two forms, or two paper things saying you live here, or you have this bill here.
Right.
Okay,
Proof of
those
residency.
are already
Yeah.
those are already two obstacles that they're facing if they don't have them. Right there, two.
Okay.
Some people have been incarcerated so long or at such a young age, they've never written a check. Not that we all write checks these days.
Yeah, they don't
They've
do that
never
anymore.
they've never written a check. Don't laugh, I'm old. They've never used a debit card.
Hmm.
They they, they don't know about any of this.
Right.
And I'm not saying that these are more than band-aids, because they will help, but and it needs to be restructured so much, and reform needs to happen so much, and it's so much bigger than this, but on a smaller scale. These are things that will help. These are things that may lessen recidivism. Simple things that are so easy and that we're already being told, mind you, that are being implemented in these places. Okay, and that's where another problem arises. If you say they're being implemented, well, then doggone it, they should be implemented.
Right.
And that's another reason that I am here. And another reason of my passion is y'all need to be transparent. And that means y'all prisons, y'all jail, everybody. This needs to be transparent. Society needs to be able to see a clearer picture. Those of us who have loved ones incarcerated need to be able to see a clearer picture also of the atrocities that are happening, the draconian things that are happening at this moment in the USA.
Mm.
So there's a lot. And so, but we kind of moved forward. But when I got released, I sat for about a year, and COVID had just wrecked my life. I relocated. I was broke, and I was sitting here one day, and I said, "You know what? I'm done. I don't know what I'm doing." And I just grabbed my recorder, my camera, and I went in there, and I shot the Presenting Pure Prison podcast by myself with my knight in shining armor standing behind me, and not knowing how to do it. But that was my first leap of faith. And my whole goal in starting Pure Prison, the podcast, was just to give a voice to those so many who never had a chance to speak. I heard people who never got to talk at their trial. Nobody ever asked them. Sometimes nobody even stopped. Mental evaluation should have been done on so many people.
Yes.
And said, "Honey, what happened? What happened? Tell me your story." They were railroaded. They were pushed into pleas, because nobody takes anything to trial these days unless it's capital. If you're on the level of my crimes and what I did, you're going to take a plea deal almost every single time, because the outcome at a trial, you're going to get the maximum every time, almost every single time. And that's scary, because that is not structured across the United States. It's not structured in the state of Florida from county to county. And I don't understand it, seeing as there's a scoring system. I don't understand how things are not more consistent for certain crimes getting certain punishments. It's staggering to me. I kind of got off there. Anyway, but Pure Prison was to give a voice to those who got lost in the shuffle. Whether it be, I think I was innocent, and here's why. Okay, I'm going to let you say it. Go ahead. This is what you want to say. Share it. you never got a chance to. But it became just so much more than that.
Mm.
Um, it started off a week or two, and then I started to get random emails from people. And they were serious. They were talking about their cases, and they were talking about this, and the struggle they were having with getting education while incarcerated, because the longer your sentence, the less chance you will ever have to be able to take any kind of class as far as education. Basically, you're that's the thought you're thrown in there, and you have so long to do, so just do your time. Why do you need to be educated? It's
Okay, so that raises oh, that's another level of confusion. And I guess it's the whole prison system that is confusing to me. There, on one hand, it can be said, well, here it is. These are still human beings to be treated like human beings. On another hand, they said, well, you gave up your human rights when you committed whatever crime to get you into this place. Okay, so if there's a period of time with which you are supposed to do your time, with which those rights are taken away, when that time ends, don't you get restored? And in that restoration, doesn't it come with certain things that were taken at the time you were going in? And I guess it might be different with different types of crimes. I really don't know. But I guess this is why we're learning, and who better to learn from than someone who has gone through it themselves. I have spoken with two people from behind bars currently. I have spoken with individuals who were wrongfully incarcerated, both on the broadcast and off. And one of them is a guy out of Texas by the name of Richard Miles. He started a foundation, an organization called Miles of Freedom. And he was wrongfully incarcerated years ago. And in 2019, he was one of CNN's top 10 heroes. And that was actually how I met him. I saw him there and I reached out to him, and he came on the broadcast, and he has come on a few times, spoken with us, and we remain in contact since. And one of the things that he talks about, and one of the things that he does at Miles of Freedom, involves reintegration. I grew up going to church in the Salvation Army in Jamaica. That was my church home. And there was a drug rehabilitation center just down the street from where my church was, my physical building that I worshipped in. And the residents would come up from the rehab center and have church with us. And some of them had stories, remarkable stories of when they did drugs and they did crime and they did time. And I one of them is a pastor right now in the Salvation Army in St. Lucia. Real success story. And he went through it. Now, in the Caribbean, I guess the system might be a little bit different from here in the United States. But this information that you're telling us now is some of the information that we don't get. This is some of what you're doing, is some of the things that we don't hear of being done. I worked for the Salvation Army here for about 7 years in Chicago and in Illinois and here in Florida. And transitional housing from the prison system into regular society is one of the programs that Salvation Army offers in various
Yes.
parts of the country. And I know it can be a little bit tough, but I know the Salvation Army would help individuals to get certain things in place as they go through transitional housing. You know, there are certain restrictions that are still in place, you know, curfews and such, but they help you with things like bus passes, with somewhere to live. You know, some of these things you get help with until you can get on your feet. And they get you into a job, and they act as a point of reference with getting you into a job. So there are programs that exist, but I guess there's not enough funding for some of these programs. And while you're not familiar with some of these programs. You have to get out and then find your way into some of these programs. And I'm from what you're saying, and from, you know, checking out your website and some of the things that you talk about on your podcast, I am getting the impression that this is something that you are passionate about pointing people into that direction, to let them know that there's such a thing that exists called help for them after incarceration, after rehabilitation. Now, it's not easy and it's not guaranteed, but it is there.
Yes. Yes. I've had some people reach out and have actually declined my help because that is one of the
Really?
major things I stress, especially for people who have been in for a while, is transitional homes. Amazing. They are rooted. There are still rules, especially for anybody who's had an addiction in the past and they're
Yes.
coming straight back home. They need that. I commend 3/4 way houses, halfway homes, transitional of any kind like that. They're key for different people.
Right.
They're instrumental, I believe, in helping them get their footing, helping them integrate back into society a little bit easier,
Right.
especially financially. It's a little bit easier financially that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love shining a light on people. In fact, one of the major reasons I organized with Society First is because not only when I read their plan of action, and that's exactly what it is, they tell you all of the wrongs that are going on right now in the Department of Corrections. But they give you solutions. And I hear a lot of advocates and a lot of activists talking about what's wrong. But they never offer any solutions. And that is the key about Society First, is they do. It's a multifaceted plan that offers not Band-Aid reforms, but actual solutions to real problems that we have. There's inside perspectives done from the men and women inside, their testimonies. And it's the real deal. It is not an easy read. It is a lengthy read because it's a reform. It's an entire plan for reform. But they also believe in what I believe in. And that is having a banner somewhere where advocates, colleges, businesses, organizations, advocates, advocacies, radio hosts, people that have issues, but they also have solutions, to come together there and network. And we can do so much more if we band together, because we're so scattered everywhere. But we have the numbers. We just need to come together. And another reason that I got with Society First is because of that vision. This is a social issue. When you take the statistics, you look at the numbers, the millions of people that are incarcerated in the United States. Just think of that one person that's incarcerated. How many loved ones or family members or children have they left outside? So that ripple effect is just rippling through our society, through our communities. The other thing that society first talks about is having um, places in the community that people can go to. And that's further down the road when we're a little bit grown, because we're just starting this mission, just like Pure Prison is.
Right.
But that's the focus of what I love to do for Pure Prison. It is a passion to get this information out, to have real and raw information be put out, because it's time that society knows what you think happens is not what happens there. It's way worse. It's way worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's not TV either. It's way worse, and it's a mental worse. It's mental.
But it sounds like
I love.
I'm sorry. It sounds like a recipe, as you've been saying, recidivism. It just sounds like a recipe to keep you in the
Yes.
in a cycle of incarceration. Now, I don't know how much it is that the Department of Corrections or the state gets for each individual that is incarcerated. However, there clearly the prison system is big business, and
Oh, it's big business.
not to mention the amount of private prisons that are in the United States.
Oh, yes. And while we're on that subject of big business, and let's go back to that cycle. Have you ever heard the term come to Florida on vacation, leave on probation, come back on violation?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's the motto. Yes. And that's what happens. And the problem is probation. In fact, if you go to Pure Prison on Facebook, there's a couple little blurbs that I've just put out, and I can't remember the people who have them. And literally, it says, I think the headline is, in 6 seconds, so many people violate probation in the United States. And it is they show a picture of a mother with her child who has the flushed cheeks, and she's running into the CVS to grab something for the baby, and she's checking her watch, and she's running to catch the bus, running out to get the baby home before she misses her curfew. There's a boy, I think he was getting ready for either school or no, he was trying to get to the probation office, and he missed his bus, and he's busting it. He gets there just as they're closing the door. He violates. He goes back to jail.
Oh no.
It's as simple as things like that can put you back, and it's all a money game. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't, and let me make this very clear. I do not believe that people should not pay for their crimes. I paid for mine.
Right.
Okay, I did my time.
Mm-hmm.
But the time that people are getting, it's over sentencing a lot. Life without parole, you've taken away somebody's hope. How can you have multiple life without paroles on one person? It doesn't make any sense. You leave these people desperate and hopeless, and it breaks my heart.
But where that is concerned, you're coming back to the type of crime that is committed. So we know that it isn't a standard sentence that is laid down for all crimes. You know, there are some crimes that you shouldn't even. Well, I guess you can't really say that, but
right, the heinous crimes.
You go straight to. Listen, we don't even need to press this.
Right.
You know, let's forget court. Just go find a corner somewhere. That's where you need to be for the rest of your life.
And even inmates believe that about some other inmates, and that's the nature of the beast, though.
But when you look even further into it, is there anyone that is beyond help? And to think that that person wasn't born that way, so there had to have been something that happened in their life that took them to that point. So if it's a learned behavior, then there can be a correction to that behavior.
Yes. And let's use that word in the Department of Corrections. Corrections,
Oh, yeah.
rehabilitation.
That,
And that should be a part of what it is. And unfortunately, it's not. And just like we were talking a moment ago about just simply education, just because someone has a life sentence, say that they're a juvenile,
hmm
they were 17 years old, they got charged as an adult. This man is 42 years old now. He has taken so many betterment classes. He has grown. He has become spiritual. He has a proven track record. He does not get in trouble. He's a mentor to people inside. That is not that same 17-year-old boy. Now you're telling me that this man doesn't deserve to have his mind expanded by education and knowledge, maybe a simple GED that he never got.
mm.
It's incredible that to me that's almost barbaric, because that is a mental stagnant cesspool, and that it just, when you can't grow and your mind can't expand, you wither away, or you get involved in trash because it passes the time.
All right. Let's take your process through incarceration for a moment.
Okay.
Going through the correctional system. When listening to your story, whatever corrections were made seem to have been made on your own accord after being in the correctional system.
No, they actually happened there, because I was in Bradenton.
Oh,
So that
yes,
was still a
Bradenton.
part. Yeah,
Yes.
it was still a part of DOC. But you're absolutely right. If someone has not taken accountability for those that they have harmed,
Mm-hmm.
and an accountability fully that you did it, you are a part of this, and can you, until you do that, you can't do anymore. You can't be honest.
Right.
Honesty is everything in real life. If you can't be honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and what's so funny is, it took me all those. I mean, it's such a simple thing. Be honest. You grow up. Be honest. Do the right thing. Okay. And you figure you're always honest with yourself. But you know what I came to the conclusion of? Holy crap, I had not been honest with myself in so many years, and it was over so much stuff, like dumb stuff. Like, I didn't really realize that Eggs Benedict is not my favorite breakfast. I thought it was because of a boyfriend that I had for years that ate Eggs Benedict, and I just liked it, and that became my favorite. It's not my favorite. I actually like a feta and spinach cheese omelet. That's actually my preference.
Right.
Little things like that. Codependency. Never knew I was codependent. Thought I was a very independent woman until codependency was broken down to me. Now, had somebody come to me, say maybe during that substance abuse time, during that DOC mandated time, and had taught me about, hey, guess what? You charted high on the codependency. You're going to be taking a class in that. Had somebody done that, and I'm not going to say it may have stopped me, but it would have made me aware.
Yes.
Would have made me aware. And it's always that little mustard seed, you know? Just
Mm-hmm.
that little mustard seed, that
Mm-hmm.
tiny little thing grows into such a giant plant,
Yes.
if not taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes, you know, sometimes. And that's one of the messages that we try to pass on is, you know, that's all it takes. Let's start earlier. We can do better. We just have to start implementing programs in our communities and things that do better.
Right.
And there's so many people out there who have these plans of actions, and I love having them on my show. Like I bet you would love having them on yours, because
Oh yeah.
it's something new, and it's something that will help, and it's a reform, and it's an amazing thing. I love having people that have plan
So
of action.
so let me ask you this. What, since you've been through the system, has there been anything put in place? Has there really been any type of change outside of
Yes,
defunding? Has there
actually,
been some positive
yes.
change?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna take a lot of slack on this, and by God, I hope these people are watching, because I sure am trying to get some interviews in their compounds. Yes, there are some things now. Unfortunately, there is one thing that they have offered new to the women. It's a new women's program. It's over at, I believe, FWRC. It's another faith-based program.
Okay.
But for the men, I happen to have one of the inmates reach out to me, and there is an incentivized prison program that has been put in one of the compounds here in Florida. And basically, what incentivized is, and we have a wonderful Senator Brands who tried to push this bill through. Of course, every single bill for reform was turned down. I don't know how the alcohol bill could pass, but the reforms couldn't pass. Anyway, incentivized
Priorities.
prisons. What that would do is an inmate, while there, would have the choice to partake in these programs and in these classes. Cognitive therapy, maybe some restorative justice, or whatever they're allowing at that moment it to be. Again, transparency would be nice, because I'd like to know, a lot of family members would like to know, what is included in this. What are these classes?
Right.
If sometimes, if they were a little bit doggone more transparent, sometimes we might actually be able to get on board with them a little bit more. But the secretary right now of DOC, his name is Mark Inch. And I'll tell you this, when I was in DOC as an inmate, I didn't really have that high of an opinion of him. And I don't mind saying that. But I also am a woman who knows game, and she sees it, and I can call it. But I can also see real, and I can call that too. And there's something that has happened in this man that's changed, and he's seen something. He's done something somewhere has changed this man, because he's let this happen. At two of these prisons, they're now offering this incentivized, and a memo went out not long ago. And this is one of the goals of Society First. We actually have a plan called the Ready or Not. And what incentivized prisons, and what we called Ready or Not, so it's on the same lines, which is miraculous, is people that deserve extra game time. People who are doing things inside, that are ready to come home. Are you ready, or are you not? Have you put in the work, or have you not? There's a lot of people that this would help. People that deserve to come home. People that have done their time. They're changed. They're reformed. And that is what is supposed to happen.
Right.
Whether they've done it on their own, the point is they have reformed their lives. Now, I'm not talking about, and don't take this literal, like, oh my gosh, everybody would happen. This wouldn't happen for everybody, but for these people who have a proven track record, and it is shown, let them come home. If they're putting in the work.
Regardless of the crime?
I'm sorry?
Regardless of the crime?
Absolutely not. It can't be. And that's just like there can never not be prisons. There will always be prisons.
Mm-hmm.
There are prisons for a reason. Just like I personally believe there are police for a reason.
Right.
I do not personally believe in defunding police at all. I think that would cause chaos. I believe that rules are there for a reason. I believe police are there to enforce them. Do I believe that they need training? Who doesn't? But man, they've got their own traumas they go through every single day out on the street.
Yeah.
You know,
I hear some of
every
those
day.
stories.
Okay. But so let's go back to Mark Inch. Anyway, Mark Inch is standing in the paint. He's letting some stuff really go through right now. And yeah, so I do see some changes, very brief and intermittent. And a lot of people, they blame him for a lot, but he's one man. He's one man over the secretary of, we got a lot of prisons in Florida, folks. We got a lot. And he manages them all. And that's not an easy task for one man. It can't be. And change and reform doesn't come overnight. And just they can't expect DOC to change overnight. And that's just a simple fact. People can bark at DOC all they want. Heck, I was their inmate. They stall us on some things, but they can only do what they can do. They're only human too, you know?
Yeah. So what are some of the ideal, the tangible solutions? Not the hope and a prayer kind of a thing. We're talking about some of the real things that you're saying, that you're thinking could work. And you know, it might have been something that we have mentioned before, or not. Any of you that are listening in that want to share, 773-789-STEW, you can give us a call, and you can, you know, even to extend a word to Shy as she continues her work, you know, you can go ahead and do that. But Shy, what's some of the things that you're thinking, you know what? We could try this. We could do this. This not only may work, but this will work. What are some of those things?
Some of those things, for instance, I'm going to pull it up right now, is the incentivized plans. It will come in phases, and basically the incentivized plan, it would challenge the inmates to better themselves. There would be courses to go through. That is helpful beyond words. Not only are you giving people the chance to become accountable for what they're doing, but they're earning something also.
Right.
It gives back hope to people. Some of the other things definitely are the reentry programs. There needs to be more technical programs taken into the prisons for people that are being released. It will help with recidivism. These are simple things. It will help. When you've taken somebody that spent 20 years in prison and you hand her this iPhone, I just got off the phone with her. I was in work release. She's had the iPhone for 2 years now. God bless her. I love her. She's worked herself up over this iPhone because it is a trauma. She's terrified because a phone is everything these days.
Yeah.
Being technical, you've got to know.
Right.
I had a meltdown because I didn't know how to do the YouTube thing the other day. I was trying to get one of my videos up, but you know, it didn't take me to that level. But this is the level I'm talking about, and it's that simple for some people. You walk into a store, and you want to buy an iPhone. You don't know what to ask. These are simple things. These are overwhelming things for people that are coming out, having years done. The transitional homes. We need to start setting up a better plan of action for the people, for our loved ones coming home, so they have the tools not to commit another crime. So they have the tools in their head to say, that's what's happening right this second. That's what's happening. The devil's getting on me. That's what Miss Janice taught me in my class. You know what? I better take a second. Let's take a second and we'll count to 10. Because you know what? That's what happens. Miss Janice touched that person. But they're not letting Miss Janice come into the prisons anymore. We need these people to start coming back into our prisons and helping our people, whether it be church, colleges, technical places that are teaching technical and data and what to do, advocates. Let us in. Let us in. If we're not, let us send a link in and teach a class. We don't even need to come in physically.
Mm-hmm.
Have a cyber class for these inmates. That way, you can't come up on, oh, drugs are going to come in. Well, nobody's coming in your compound.
Right.
Your computers are locked because you'll have to have someone there or a trustee there at the time. You know, simple things, guys. Simple things. Let's just start coming together. I would love to see families of incarcerated people start really standing up and stop complaining and start
doing some action.
stop talking and start putting some action behind it. That's what I would love to see.
Your daughter does the Pure Prison podcast with you.
She does sometimes. She hasn't branched out completely yet because she's still tying up some things at home, but my daughter is involved in the background a lot with the podcast and Society First.
With coming out of prison and reconnecting with your children, what was that like for you? What was that like for her?
I will tell you, because of the divorce, my first divorce, and my son had come to live with me, you know, so he'd gotten the full brunt of mommy's addiction as a teenager. And then so my daughter did not. My daughter was kind of hidden from that, but she had some issues with me and not being there in the divorce.
Right.
She didn't know some of the truths about it until her brother, because I never would tell her.
Mm-hmm.
Because that wasn't my place, because she loves her father, and that's her father.
Right.
And all little girls should love their father. And I would never hurt that or harm that to her. I would never do that. So I never told her. So her brother's the one that filled her in years later. But my daughter, I'll never forget, and I have all their letters, but I was in the county. And I remember my daughter writing to me. And one of the things that she wrote to me, I'll never forget, was, you know, I always saw Christopher running after you, but I never understood why I needed to.
Mm.
And that broke me because I never saw it like that. And my son was always just running after me. And she was so hurt and she never saw why, you know, and I never knew how much that divorce had truly hurt her until that sentence.
Yeah.
She came with her kids, of course, my grandchildren, several times while I was there. It was more heartbreaking for my grandson having to leave and knowing I had to stay there. Right. I hated visits. Visits were awful because of that. But when I came home, the growth and the overwhelming support and love that I have from my kids, and I couldn't even believe that I was so blessed. It was just like nothing in the world had ever happened. I mean, it happened.
Yeah.
But my grandkids know Grandma was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
They know it was because of drugs. They will always know that. They will get preached to. Nothing was hidden. Our family's very open, and it's beautiful. The relationship I have with my son and seeing him as a grown man, and him and my daughter being able to see me as a person, it's so nice, you know, getting those cards saying, you know, I'm so proud of the mom that you are and the one I always knew you could be. I'm so proud of you for being the grandma. I'm going to cry. And that kind of stuff. It means the world to me. There's no way I would ever give that up and lose that again. It's the world. Love it. It's beautiful.
That right there is pretty much what I would suspect a lot of people would strive towards, with getting out, reintegrating. I remember speaking with formerly incarcerated guy by the name of Mataka Iskari. Askari. He was a guest of mine, and we talked about post-incarceration syndrome.
Oh,
And I guess you could equate it to post-traumatic stress disorder.
yes.
But to hear a grown man talk about the difficulty in making a choice between two brands of anything like milk, walking into a store and seeing options, choices.
That's what I was saying earlier. It's horrible.
These are some of the things that I guess after being in for an extended period of time, it's traumatic coming out, and I suspect why some would even intentionally try to do things to get back in, because that has become what has been comfortable to them.
Yes.
And are there programs that you know of that go in and talk about choices, not an individual making choices, but the choices that are available, and breaking it down to that level of walking into a store and you can have choices, and it can be overwhelming?
As far as I know, no. And that's kind of what I was talking about a minute ago whenever I said, they walk in and they look for an iPhone. It can literally send someone into such a tailspin. And like you just said, the simplest, milk. There's 15 different brands of milk. And it is overwhelming. And no, and there's not anybody that breaks it down. And that needs to be broken down. And let me tell you something. PICS is real. It is because I have it. So I know it's real.
Yeah.
And if I only did a short time compared to most of the people I left behind or I'm dealing with now.
Right, because you said you did 8 years, right?
8.5. And that was not all in DOC3 that was served in the county.
Right.
But the incessant metallic door noise,
Yeah.
the handcuff key metal, there are certain noises that it's just like
It's triggering.
PTSD. It will take you right in a flashback. It will take you right back to that moment of trauma, of seeing things, or it's incredibly real. It's incredibly difficult if you can't handle it. Some people can handle it, and some people cannot. It's difficult. Its support system is key. There is somebody that I would love to just do a shout out for. He's got a great program. It's called Each One Teach One, and basically, I signed up for it. I'm a mentor for it, and basically, what it is is if there's someone in your area, they're getting released, and say they have been in for a while and they don't know about getting their driver's license or the social security card or going to the store. They need a little bit of help with exactly what you said for their first time. You need to help walk through. There's a mentor in the city that hopefully will get a database of people that are willing to do this and be mentors for people who are integrating back into their communities and help them through these kinds of things. And his name is Sparky Lee. He's on Facebook. Great guy. He's out of California, but he's heading up that program right now, and I really hope it takes off because it's beautiful.
Nice.
I love giving back. I love it. I think we should all do it.
What would you say to members of a community that has someone reintegrating to that area? Because once someone has that record, once someone has that story about them, everybody starts to get fidgety. Everybody gets jumpy. Everybody gets overly cautious. Oh, we have an ex-con moving into our community. You know, we gotta make sure that all the doors are locked and double bolted because here is this person that is coming to steal our cheese. I don't know. You know, whatever it is that their fear is for that individual, it's a legit fear also.
Absolutely.
So, what would you say to those who have never gone through the system, who have their only knowledge of the system exists in TV shows and movies?
I guess the biggest one, the umbrella one that I could always or I would use is, you know, it could always happen to you.
Yeah.
It can always happen to you. You have no idea how many times I had an officer or someone in authority kind of say, you know, I just never got caught. And that's the simple facts of it sometimes. You know, you just never got caught or whatever the case may be. But I believe that a lot of society's empathy, their compassion, I believe that we have grown accustomed to being callous and hard, especially on this matter. It started back in the 80s. It started, you know, with tough on crime. It started actually before then, but whenever the tough on crime bill and the crack cocaine epidemic took over the U.S., basically that's when this started hitting hard. And it was throw them away, whatever they did, stick them in prison, that's where they go.
Mm-hmm.
But then it became a warehouse situation. So I would always just caution people to, you know, if, say, the person committed the crime, it was a high profile case and they're moving back into the area. Could always be you. Don't be so judgmental. You know, everybody deserves a second chance and people aren't their crimes. You know, just err on side of caution. Lock your doors if you feel like that's going to make you more comfortable. You know, but they're humans too. I saw a lot of people because I went back to the same place that my crime was committed and a couple eyebrows raised. But overall, the funny thing is it's kind of like a flip-sided coin, I guess. There's so many of us coming back into society that was kind of taken over. I mean, we really are. There's just so many of us. But be kind to one another. Be kind to your neighbor, whether you know what's going on or not. I'm going to be honest. I haven't put my magnets out on my car yet because my neighbors will freak out if they look at my website and realize who I am in the office. So I haven't even gone there yet. So
it's well, yeah. It's a little bit tricky, and I talking with you, I get that, you know, talking with wrongfully incarcerated people that I have come across, even them, to know that, you know, they were wrongfully incarcerated, but the mere fact that they were incarcerated, people just have this mindset. And it's scary on both sides, and I think that's one of the things that people miss. The ones reintegrating into quote unquote free society also have it difficult because now they're like under the 8 ball. There are individuals who are living freely that keep complaining about, you know, every time I'm just behind the 8 ball. Well, these people coming out are pretty much under the 8 ball.
Yes, yes, they really are. And they really are. Um, and I can't stress that enough about how important it is for reentry to begin when someone goes in. They ask you if you how high your education is, and they do something called a TABE testing, so they can potentially put you in for GED classes or whatever the case may be, and that may never happen. But just the simple fact of finding housing, they're not, you can't get an apartment in a gated community.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get do you know how hard it is to find an apartment in a complex that will rent to a felon? They're
Yeah.
going to run a background check on you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. And and like you said, those wrongfully convicted, that never goes away. Isn't that a shame? No, why? Why
Yeah.
shouldn't that automatically be taken care of? Are you telling me it's too much for you to clean up the mess that you made for this man
Or
to
woman.
go on living his best life, and they can't do that? It has to be all this bureaucracy and red tape that you have to go through to have that done. That shouldn't be the case. Too much red tape, too much BS.
Yeah.
Some of this just needs to go away. It really does.
Shy, the people that are listening in, whether now or on the podcast, the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew, checking out the YouTube, wherever, and they come across this broadcast again, and they are like, boy, I want to know more about what this woman is doing. I want to know, I want to get involved with her. I want to speak with her even. How can people reach you? How can people get to listen to what you have to say?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it's usually not what I have to say. um, Unless I get asked to be on a show like this, which is amazing. Thank you. But I shine a light on others. But they can always find me at the website, www.pureprison hyphen, don't forget the hyphen in the middle, .com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Um, always doing some podcasts. So they can always find us there, or they can go to Society First, www.society-first.com, and I have a tab there. You can go there and check out the podcast also.
Nice. Um, Shy, I want to thank you for not being shy. But at the same time, because you are shy. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are confused, you might have come on late and wondering, what is Stu talking about? Okay, so Cheryl's nickname is Shy. And she said earlier it comes from Shailene.
Shailene, yep.
Shailene, right.
Mhm.
So you can find her. Search for Pure Prison, Pure Dash Prison, or Pure Hyphen Prison, any which way you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Or you can always hit me up at Shy Hillman. That's my personal one that I keep up. And you'll always see Pure Prison posts, so you can always jump on from there. And
That's
we
on
would
social
love the
media.
support. Society First would love the support. Please read it. Look at it as a roadmap to some changes that can really happen. And I'm still waiting to find out how you found me. I have no idea how this happened. I just got a crazy email one day.
Right. So I think it was in one of the wrongfully convicted social media
Joe.
groups. No,
Yeah.
the page. I think it's the wrongfully convicted page on Facebook,
Yes.
of which
Yes.
I'm a
We're
member.
members of that.
So I think that was where I had seen you, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? And so hence the weird email that you got from me.
Nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, we love it. I love it. It's been so rewarding. getting to meet people like you, wonderful networking contacts, and being able to share so many stories and so many great avenues. We hit big, like, and we never finished that one, the big money, big business that it really
Prisons
is,
are,
the
yeah.
the circle. We did one on Unicor, who uses inmate. They work for them in the prison. It's a
Uh-huh.
big company, so there's a episode on that with some questions, that we had given to them to respond to.
Right.
Lita Health, wonderful mental health organization that has virtual and online free mental health classes right now, all different kinds of great stuff.
Which which
Sandy,
which entity is that doing that?
that is called Leda, Leda.health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can check out the podcast. Their new website that Jay, the lady I interviewed, that they're heading up, is on there, and they have some cool stuff. Anybody who just needs a break, who wants to just check it out, awesome, awesome virtual online.
Because I have been in touch with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Okay,
Um,
that
yeah, you can check them out. I have been in touch with them. I've had them on this broadcast a couple of
really
times.
love.
Yes. NAMI Broward, I have hosted they do an annual fundraiser called NAMI Walks. The last one that actually happened, real person, real life, not virtual. I hosted it for them. So I'm familiar with some of the things that they're doing, and I know they're doing work with police departments all over the country,
Wonderful.
raising awareness to mental health issues and dealing
Absolutely.
with a mental health call differently from just a criminal call, you know. So there are those programs that exist. I hadn't asked them anything about their corrections programs,
Oh, I would
whether it
love
be
it.
detention centers, being jails or prisons or transitional housing. I haven't asked them about it, and I'll probably give them a call tomorrow night. I'm thinking about it, and ask them
Yeah.
if there's such a program that they do, and if not, if it's something that they're looking to start. Because
It's so needed. Mental health, first of all, mental health patients like Chattahoochee that got closed and they shipped all those patients to the compounds,
hmm
they should not be in prison. That is not
right,
where they need to be.
right,
But then we also need to deal with just the regular Joe who's on the compound, who needs some mental attention, who needs a therapy every once in a while. It's nice to be able to go in there and talk to somebody um, when you're feeling overwhelmed, and that's one of the things that not so much that, but Lita was going to try to start going into some prisons, and it's very hard, and it's something that's needed.
maybe. And I don't know how someone in that position would be able to help, but if you could reach out to Judge Ginger Lerner Wren. It's Ginger Lerner, Lerner hyphen Wren, WREN. She's a mental health court judge here in Florida,
Oh,
actually in Broward. And in fact, she is America's very first mental health court judge.
love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So maybe she can help. I met her at that very NAMI Walks event. I learned of her before that, and I was determined to meet her, only to be hosting this event and she being there. So I was fortunate enough to have her on this broadcast talking about just that,
Wow.
sitting on a bench, addressing individuals that have mental health issues coming to court versus your regular criminal courts. So that
Right.
was enlightening to me. So maybe you could try reaching out to her
Oh,
also.
I love it. Thank you.
That could be. if she can't help, she should be able to point you in a direction. And
Love it.
also,
I'm hanging out with you more often. You know the nose.
well, I try to get my nose into something. So,
Good one. Good one.
but you and I will we actually do have quite a bit more to talk about. So we will be in the near future chatting some more,
I love it.
both on air and off, just so that you know.
I'm in.
Okay, good,
When
great. And please tell Ashley I'd love to meet her, and you can. And where's your son now?
my son is in St. Lucie County, but he's fixing to move to the other side of the state.
Oh,
No.
the other side of the state?
Yeah, but that's like two more hours away from my grandson.
Yeah, but it's still in Florida, though.
Okay, you're right. Thank you, God, for my blessings. It's still in Florida.
There you go. Let's enjoy those little blessings. Yeah.
See the cognitive therapy that right there.
Hey, you might be able to teach me a thing or two, and I'm looking forward to that also. I don't know. One of my affiliates might want to speak with you, and so if you hear me saying, okay, if I send you a message to say call this number, ask for this person, then
Don't think it's a
you'll
weird
know
message.
right.
I swear.
Just so that you know. Let me put it out there. And it's recorded, so everybody can hear me telling you beforehand. All right. So,
Got it.
Shai, thank you once again for taking the time out to share your story and why it is that you're doing what you're doing with Society First and Pure Prison. The Pure Prison podcast is available where?
Oh my gosh. Facebook, YouTube. All you have to do is type in Pure Prison. It's right up there on YouTube. All the videos.
Okay, great. And there's the podcast platform. I was listening to you on Anchor earlier.
Oh, nice. And you know what? I was actually thinking of giving that one up.
Really?
I didn't know how many people are really, really getting through on there. I seem to have more of a Facebook thing going on, but that could be because we're new. But I always listen to Spotify, so that's why I went with them, because that's the one I always listen to.
Right. So and they share out to these other platforms also. So hey, stick with it.
Now that I know.
Yeah, a little bit of free advertising for Anchor there.
Right.
Anybody listening from Anchor, remember me here.
You need to be on the Kevin's. That's right. You know where your money needs to go.
Right, kevinstew.com, the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Please remember me.
We can have that for you tomorrow, Kev.
Gotcha.
I got you likewise.
All right, Shai, you have a great night. Thank you once again.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. It was such a pleasure.
The
I
pleasure
look
was
forward
all
to it.
mine. You take care until we do it again. All right, have a
Good.
good one.
Good night.
As we get into a little bit of musical therapy to close out the night, I want you to just think for a moment to be mindful of just everyone. Be mindful of those who committed a crime and ended up incarcerated, but also be mindful of those that paid for their crimes and are out and reintegrating into society. Those who have been behind bars and outside of society for over the last 10 years, a whole lot have changed. And so, taking that into consideration, I encourage you to be mindful of that and to think about what it is that you're doing when you encounter some of these people. Think about the trauma that they have gone through. Think about the trauma their families have gone through. It's not just you that is there that have to be concerned about, this ex-con, this felon that has moved into your neighborhood. Think about what they are going through, looking at everybody else, criticizing them, what is going on in their minds. But extend a hand and say, hey, listen, we get it. You did your time, and whatever it is that you did, if you want to talk about it and help us to not get into that situation, because they're a teacher at this point. They are the experienced ones at this point on that subject, because they did it and they ended up paying for doing it. So you want to learn from others' mistakes, learn from theirs. Now you get an opportunity to have them talk about it in such a way that they can teach you something, and it can help them. Think about how something that was bothering you, just getting to talk about it has helped you. It's a similar thing with them. And if you don't think that is so, try it. And then come back to me and tell me whether or not I was right or wrong, if I get it or I don't. Because at the end of the day, those people that you claim that you hate, break down that word and change it. How about you take that hate and transpose it to have acceptance through enlightenment? Go ahead and learn something about them. Go ahead and learn something about that thing. And see if it doesn't change how you view it. And if it doesn't, fine. But you gave it a chance. And that's all that the people coming out of our prison systems, that's pretty much all that they're asking for. Just a chance. The ones that are going in that direction, they want a chance too. A chance to change course. So let's be there for each other. Let's try to help each other through this. And having gone through a year, we we know what it is to sit at home in quarantine and think of the people having gone through years of quarantine, what it is that they're going to be needing right now. And this is a kind of quarantine that traumatizes you. You heard Shai talk about it just now. Hearing metallic noises, chains, some of these things, these are triggers. If the light goes out and you didn't turn it off, the bulb just goes out. So a bulb blew. That can be a trigger. Walking into a store, seeing options, that can be a trigger. Let's be mindful of these things, people, if we can, and check out organizations, groups that are doing things. People like Society First, people like Pure Prison. Check them out. Miles of Freedom over there in Texas. Check them out. The Salvation Army is everywhere. Check them out. Understand this. None of us are here alone. And like I always say, look out for members of your community. Understand that your community is not just the development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. Whether you walk, ride, or drive, take the bus, the plane, the boat, the train, the people that you pass along the way, these are members of your community. This is why we should do something good for at least one person. You don't have to do something good for everybody, just one person. Because you never know when you are going to be in need of that help. And that one person might be just the person to help you. I'm going to sign off right about now. I'm going to play this song from Ed Robinson called Love's in Need of Love. And look out for each other. That's all I can say to you at this point. Check out Pure Prisons. It's pure-prison.com. Check out Society First. Society-first, the word FIRST. Reach out to Shy. Tell her, yo, I heard you talking some things with Kevin Stew on the night shift. Talk to me. Tell me about some of these things because, maybe because of the broadcast, I didn't hear some things right. Did you say that you come out of prison and get only $50? How does that work? How do you get by? Talk to her. Talk with her. And listen. That's the difference with talking to and talking with. It's a two-way street. So talk with her and actively listen. Learn something and then go back and teach somebody else. This is how I bounce on out of here. Join me tomorrow for Healthy Love. Look at women's health tomorrow night. Looking at how men's health can help women's health.
Good morning, evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, I bid you a good night. One Harmony Radio, Island Worldwide, NIE Radio, WGLR Road, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, and of course, everybody right here on the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew on KevinStew.com. Thank you. Truly appreciate, love you. Take care. Catch you tomorrow.
To tears and pain, it's that love in need of love today. Oh, don't delay, send yours in right away. Oh, because hate's going round, breaking many hearts. Oh Lord, stop it please, before it's gone too far. Hey. The force of evil plan to make you its possession, and it will if we let it destroy everybody. We all must take precautionary measures. If peace and love you treasure, then hear me when I say that love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Don't you know
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune into the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on KevinStew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.